record. Cool. So this is the list that I wanted to take to Eternal Weekend. Uh, there's some little differences in this list from others that I've seen. A lot, if not all, of Green White Depths decks are playing just the three diamonds, but I really want that fourth one because I really like playing around days, especially against these Ragavan decks. And I really like the diamond starts against some of the other mid-range decks, especially when you have Sylvan Library. But it's always tough to find space for the fourth Mox Diamond because there's not really too much you want to cut from the deck. Like, I think the four Green Suns, the four Crop, the four Knight, the four Reclaimer, the four Swords are kind of stuck as like the 20 that you definitely want. And then I guess a little bit about like Ragavan, there's the two extra Prismatic Endings and Mazavith in the main deck as ways to like either deal with early Ragavans or even a Murktide. Like Maze can be a bit of an issue sometimes for these decks that aren't finding Wasteland. But the big one that isn't in here is a Green Sun's target in the main deck for an artifact or enchantment, like Night of Autumn, or the new card that flips. What's it called? Outland
Liberator.
Yeah, Outland Liberator. And it's not playing Urza's Saga. Because Saga was always interesting. I found that Saga was great for the mid-range plan, which I think this deck already has a pretty good plan around. But it didn't really do too much for the combo, other than like maybe find a Pithing Needle before you want to go off.
And even that, most of them are playing that in the board or something, which is
Yeah, and I
like,
kind of felt like if you take out, like, say, I was going to play the one Saga because I do have Stage and I do have Ramanap to get it back, and then maybe play two main deck artifacts in probably Pithing Needle and Retrofitter Foundry, and then sideboard perhaps play two. But that's like 6 slots, which is pretty big.
yeah.
So
I actually, and I don't know, like I think I might be in the minority, but I really don't feel like Saga is amazing in the decks that aren't like good at playing it. So artifact decks and lands mostly are really good at it, and I
yeah,
feel like that's not really what Knight's like game plan is. It's obviously great against control in every deck, but I feel like it's not like for as a Delver player, like as I am like I don't care. Especially because Delver is playing two meltdowns right now in the board.
yeah, yeah, it's really
Which
good.
is insane. That card
Yeah,
has won me every game I've drawn it. It's nuts.
exactly. See, I would love to kind of get above that and hopefully play against some Delver players who might think I'm on Saga and bring them in only to find I'm just on Mox Diamonds that I might even just take out against Delver on the draw or something.
Hmm.
So being able to add those like dead cards into the deck in a way is probably a way that I'm going to beat them as a pretty fair deck. Like those little kind of bonuses.
Yeah, it definitely helps. I mean,
Mm,
now as a pessimist, they do have Brainstorm and Ponder to just not draw it if they don't want it.
exactly. Or like DRC
Uh,
if they like,
Delver's so good.
yep.
um,
The other
yeah.
card was like the third Sylvan Library, which I feel like if there's like going to be a lot of Ragavan decks, I don't want to be too heavy on Sylvans because there have been times where I've been a little bit too aggressive and thought that, paying for that extra swords is going to be fine because then like I'm going to save myself some life, but then it just comes back and bites me down the line.
Mhm.
So I think two is okay. Still going to see it a fair bit, hopefully. But
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot. Like, I honestly don't know anyone doing like. It's not like I've been keeping up to date, but I don't really remember seeing many people doing really well with green white depths. So I'm sure you can make changes, and it can't be that bad.
yeah, no, that's
Like
fair
people
enough.
keep on saying green white depths is like an option in that if you want to instead of like Maverick or something, you can play it, but I think it's like the worst of the good decks myself, and we'll see. Like it's definitely playable, and I think as someone with practice with it, it's definitely not a bad choice. But just power level wise, I'm excited to see if I'll be able to get a 50% win rate against you, because this is supposed to be like my worst or second worst matchup.
Okay, yeah, nice, cool. But
So
I definitely see where you're coming from. I mean, I even don't tell anyone, but I actually played Blue Red Delve the other day and played a league, and it is
no,
crazy how powerful it is. It is
yeah,
crazy. Even just like the hands where you have like Volk Ragavan Days, and you're just like, this is gonna be pretty fun. Or even like DRC was just incredible as well. Obviously,
oh yeah,
Ragavan, like you gotta rely on what your opponent's playing, but once you know what your plan is and what your strategy is, like DRC is just so good. Like I had two on the board and I was brainstorming, and you get to like look at two, put them in the bin, look at three, like just yeah,
yeah. No, DRC is absolutely insane too.
yep. But
Everything's crazy.
I do like that. Yeah, as you said, I do like it a bit more than Maverick because having the backdoor win of just Dark Depths is pretty strong, even against some of these decks with things like Wasteland and Urza Saga for Pithy Needle. You can be a little bit quicker.
Yeah, no, I definitely think if you're gonna play, um, like a deck that's not Death and Taxes, that's also not blue, I think
Mm.
Green White Depths is the one to do.
Yeah, which is tough as well because I think D&T has a lot of answers for this deck, not just in the 2020, but also just in the mid-range plan, where they can just like
Yeah,
one
no,
for one you a
I
lot.
I think Death and Taxes is probably just the best non-blue deck to play.
Yeah.
But I also just think I think people I don't know. I think if you're not XJ Cloud, uh, like I don't know if Death and Taxes is good enough because even for me, so I've played it in the 20 matches that I've played. I think I've played against TNT like 3 or 4 times, and I've at least like 2-1 against it, if not 3-1. Like
Yeah, nice.
and the loss was like not representative. I think I messed up. I'm pretty sure. So this is why I don't know. Whenever I either don't care at all about deck selection for tournaments and just play what I like to play, or I'll play the best deck because normally, if the best thing you can say about a deck is that it has a good matchup against the best deck, that's normally not enough because you're just gonna you're still gonna lose to the best deck because it's the best deck,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
then like you
exactly.
get paired against the Doomsday guy and you lose because it's over.
Yeah, I love Legacy when it's more sort of scissors paper rock style, where A beats B, B beats C, but C beats A. But it's
Mm,
definitely feeling a lot more like there's the best deck, there's the deck that sometimes beats that deck, and then there really isn't like you can play the other decks, but it's not within that sort of A B category.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, I guess because of D&T, I did kind of want to find room for a main deck Green Sun's target for like Night of Autumn or even the Outlander, but it's just so hard to cut because I wasn't sure what I would cut because I do have one sideboard slot left, so I wasn't sure if it was like cut down on an ending and then just have that as an extra like removal spell for the sideboard.
I mean, honestly, you probably could. I don't like. I've been pretty medium. Like when I was playing Maverick, like unending, it's
Okay.
good, but like it's sorcery speed sucks. Like
Mm,
really sucks.
yeah. Yeah,
So
very true.
I
Especially in a
think
two color
I
deck.
think yeah, I think that'd be fine. Yeah, and yeah, being a not playing. Well, you have Mux Diamond though, so
Yeah.
that's normally
And
pretty
stage, I
okay.
guess. And Pachuca
Um,
Bog. Can't forget Pachuca Bog.
yes, you never know.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
Okay. Because, yeah, my only reasoning for Liberator main deck outside of Night of Autumn was like the decks that I wanted against. I probably want Torpor against as well.
mm-hmm.
And I think Torpor is pretty nice because it is quite good against Death and Taxes. And it also has like some merit against like Elves or maybe like Doomsday, where obviously against Doomsday it's a pretty horrible matchup. But if I have the cards for it that overlap with other matchups like D&T, then I'm pretty happy to see if it can squeeze out something.
Yeah, no, I think it's a reasonable card. I think Torpor Orb's really good right now too. So
Mm.
yeah, I
Choke's
think
another one. Choke's been really solid, and I don't usually bring it in on the draw against the Delver decks, especially with how lean they are with like one CMC threats. But even having the one in the deck, it's really nice to know you can like draw it and sometimes just kind of get them when they've played like three Volks tapped out of like a Murktide. And obviously you have to deal with the Murktide, and obviously things like treasure tokens does allow them to kind of get around Choke a little bit. But
yeah.
just one of those like blue cards that I just can't drop from the sideboard.
Yeah, no, choke is really good. Choke is the only thing that like the worst part about choke is that people like expect it to just win the whole game for them.
Yeah.
But it's a really good card. I think I've always been more like loose with boarding it in. Like I'll board it in against Delver on the draw sometimes. I don't know what I would do now, but like, 'cause you just have to. It's just an alternate win con, and you know it's not gonna kill their threat that's already there. It depends on the board state, but it can really lock up the game.
Yeah, that is very true. I've definitely had times where I thought the choke was going to be like lights out, and then you kind of realize that you also have to deal with everything on the board first. You can't just like tap out for choke because you might just die on the swing back.
Yeah, and it gets really, it's really interesting to play those games where you play the choke when they have something in play, and you have to like math out how long it'll take you to kill it.
Yeah. And even the like the Bant kind of prismatic ending decks, like sure they do have more main deck answers for choke, but if you can land a choke when they're tapped out of like 3 of their jewels, then it is going to take them quite a while to get back to a point where they can hit it with prismatic ending. And even then, like at sorcery speed, like you might have already set up like the combo, or you might have like a knight on the field, like definitely.
Yeah, the answer to choke being prismatic ending instead of disenchantment is like so much worse.
Hmm.
Like disenchant is because they can just do it on your end step, and then they just have full mana. Whereas prismatic ending gives you a whole turn to set up and be like, okay, they're gonna have mana, play accordingly.
Yeah, that's really nice. I've gone up to 3 Force of Vigor and a Collect Oof. I wasn't too sure about this. I think 3 is maybe too aggressive. Mainly for things like lands, the affinity decks, like the 8 cast.
Yeah, 8 cast is apparently a deck now. I that was one that I like did not even like. I knew Thought Monitor was printed, but I never even saw that. Like, no one ever called it that until I don't know when. I guess a month ago or something.
Yeah, which is cool to see. 'Cause it's a pretty like I'd love to watch someone like stream it and stream it well because it looks like a really fun deck. And it's cool to see like there's a version with LED and Echo, and then a version that doesn't really play that.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, like it's basically just Urza Saga the deck, so you just beat them. Like the Echo is obviously just really good, but I think that deck of all the decks, that one is not gonna exist when Urza Saga is banned.
Yes.
But yeah, so like and in terms of 3 Force of Vigors, it's hard to say. It depends on how you feel about those matchups without them.
Yeah.
I know for Maverick, I've never felt too bad about the artifact decks personally because you just green sun for oof and win.
Yeah.
But this deck can just stomp you. Like it doesn't need to activate the artifacts because it just makes 3 golems and swings for 8. But
yeah,
it might be overkill, but it might not be.
Yeah, because I was trying to think of like another kind of removal spell that was also quite nice. Like I was even thinking of something like playing both Chasm and Tabernacle for the creature matchups. But
I mean, Tabernacle's good. I don't know how good it is in green white depths, but
yeah, I liked it a lot more when those decks like Madness. Or I'm not too sure if the affinity decks play like Psy and go wide with Psy.
They definitely, at least one of them does, because I saw it. So at least somebody out there is playing Psy in the affinity deck. So you're justified.
Yeah. Which is probably the one matchup where I really like Saga, because you can play Shadow Spear, which allows you to get through those 1/1 tokens, because like Step doesn't allow you to get there. And like you just swinging with a 20/20 and they're blocking with a 1/1, then like swinging back for 2, then making 2 more 1/1s.
Yeah. I mean, Psy's hard, but that's what Caracas, Collector Oof, and Wastelands are for.
Yeah, there we go.
But yeah, it's definitely. I like Tabernacle is good. Also, Path to Exile or Path of Exile. I don't even remember. It's
I'm pretty sure it's Path 2.
It would make sense for it to be Path 2. I think Path
Path
5
to
Exile
Exile.
is like a video game. Yeah, Path 2
Yes.
Exile.
Yes. Started by a New Zealand guy who is also very into like collecting like big magic cards, like power and
Oh,
stuff,
cool.
which is pretty sweet. Yeah, Path's a good one because it hits everything including Murktide against Delver. That's where it can get awkward if you have like the swords early on and they have a Ragavan and you kind of have to use it and then you like draw the ending and then they get to a stage where they have Murktide. You're like, ah.
Oh
So
yeah.
Path is really nice there.
Yeah, I think like I don't know, like if I was playing Maverick right now, I in paper I am playing Maverick and I have two paths in the board and I'm not playing. Now to be fair, in paper I also have decided not to buy any Modern Horizons 2 cards. So, I don't have any
Nice.
prismatic endings
Okay.
and I
Yeah.
don't think I really want them. I don't miss them.
Yeah, that's
But
fair.
it is also in paper, which as far as I'm concerned is worth literally nothing. Because it's just like weekly events. So it's not like this is not a high competitive environment.
What do you think
But
about
I mean, hey,
yeah. What do you think about like mid-range decks for this tournament? Because the last slot on the sideboard, I was thinking of something a little bit left field, like a planeswalker or some sort of enchantment, like the Felidar Retreat, or there's a 5 mana one from a commander deck that's out now that like it comes into play with counters on it, and then at the end of your end step, you get a kind of like a construct token with a power and toughness equal to the amount of counters on it, and keeps doubling up. And the only reason that I think it's better than Felidar Retreat is that it's a 5 CMC artifact, enchantment, sorry, so it's harder to prismatic ending.
I think odds are, even though, yeah, I mean, 5 is harder, 4 is pretty hard.
Yeah.
I don't actually, like, outside of, like, Birds of Paradise decks, like, I'm not really, I don't know who plays Prismatic Ending and has 4 colors outside of the ones that are, like, playing Birds of Paradise. Because it's
Yeah.
Bant or not.
Yeah, it's very true. I guess there's some Bant decks that are playing the Volk in the sideboard, I think, for like blast effects, but I don't think they'll bring it in just for ending.
Yeah, and if they do, like, I mean, I
It's a
guess it
wasteland
depends on the
target, which is
context of
kind
the
of
game,
nice.
but yeah, them having to fetch a non-basics. I know that I guess there's some, I don't know if it's like the stock Bant list, but people are playing the Abundant Growth, the green enchantment, draw a card, taps for any color on your
Oh,
land.
yeah, very true. Yeah.
So I guess that is a possibility, but I wouldn't have these corner cases make you choose a 5 mana over 4 mana just for that. Like I think
Yeah.
5 mana is a lot more than 4 too.
Yeah, it's
As
very
someone
true.
who loves the 5 mana Nissa.
Yeah, that's the one that I was thinking of, especially against some of the Bant decks that go for basics early on. I really love that it gives Wasteland a bit of a role post board because you can just turn into a threat and make them trade with it somehow.
Mm-hmm. I know a
But
lot of people have been liking the Monarch enchantment, but I'm
oh
not sure how good it
yes,
is.
yeah, interesting. The one that makes a 1/1 spirit, but in your upkeep, if you're the monarch, you get a 4/4 angel.
Yeah, I honestly like. I personally am not sure about it.
Hmm.
I but I haven't played much, but it does not seem
Court of
to
Grace.
me. It doesn't seem good because of Ice Fang Coatl and Endurance. Like everybody has flash creatures,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it's like super. Like I get that you have like I imagine that the people who like it are saying that you gotta be careful about when you play it out, but I don't
It's
know.
it's
Like
hard to be
it
careful
just doesn't.
sometimes.
I don't think I would play it.
Yeah. Because the other card is Field of the Dead that a lot of people play. But I feel like with this deck, once you get to like 4 lands, you're usually like replacing one with another, or you're just like wastelanding or going for the combo. So you're not really getting to like that 6 or 7 landmark to turn on the field.
Yeah, I don't think Greenlight Depths normally gets to 7 lands, even though Sajiri Step does naturally give you more lands. I think Field is probably not gonna get there. You could just play Urza Saga in the board, I guess.
Yeah,
That doesn't seem good. You could, I don't know, probably just uh, like even Gideon or Veldar Retreat if you like that would be
yeah.
reasonable.
Gideon's nice because it does do something on its own. Felidar, you have to actually have a land drop as well, or untap and then play a land. But the
Yeah,
vigilance is pretty cool, and also the +1/+1 effect is pretty nice.
yeah, no, I think Veldar Retreat's definitely higher ceiling.
Mm,
Gideon's definitely just like eventually it's gonna win,
exactly, yeah.
but yeah,
So I actually went through the Legacy Pit and pulled out all the Green White Depths decks and just saw how they went. So this is like, I think 19th was the best spot. But I was looking at deck lists and then pulled apart their sideboards and main decks. And luckily it's like pretty normal. The cards like Gaddock Teeg I don't think is that well positioned. Like I don't think I need a Teeg in the 75.
mm.
Um Choke, Deafening Silence, Endurance, Force. Like there wasn't too many cards that were like kind of left field. The only other thing to consider was like a Black Splash in the deck to have sideboard like Plague Engineers,
Mm.
which is
Which
pretty.
I mean, elves and DNT are gonna be big, so that's not
Yeah,
crazy.
and yeah, that's another tough one because obviously then you have to change up the mana a little bit. But
I mean, a little bit. You just take a Savannah, put that into a Bayou,
yeah,
and then
yeah, that's true.
that's pretty much it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay.
That's what I would do at least.
Yeah,
I mean, you could add a Scrubland if you wanted, but if it's just in the board, then you don't really need more, especially with Diamond already.
yeah. I think then I'd probably just take out the ending and the path for
Seems
two
reasonable.
plagues.
I think Endurance is good. That I don't know how good it is. Like, I mean, we'll see. Like, when we play, but
Yeah,
I
exactly.
definitely think it's a card that people thought was better than it was. And I remember initially, I remember when it came out, people were like, this is gonna be really good against Delver," and I was like, it costs 3 mana. It's not gonna be that good against Delver. But
Yeah, endurance has been pretty nice because like against a lot of the combo decks that use a graveyard, it's awesome. Against like the mid range like control decks, you just have a 3/4 that starts beating down. And against
yeah,
Delver, like if you get it in play, it is a little bit hard for them to deal with outside of like Unholy
for
Heat.
sure. No, it is. It is an annoying card for Delver to deal with.
Mm. All right.
So like, yeah, I think keeping them is reasonable.
Yeah, nice. Play some games.
Sure,
Cool. All
sounds
right.
like a plan.